Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first ever Feature Spotlight in our new series of Feature Spotlight webinars. Today's session is the Feature Spotlight on automations. Today we are just looking at automations. We're not going to be talking about anything else. By all means, ask questions in the Q&A section about anything you want. Ash will do his best to answer them whilst we are live. But it may be, if it's a different topic, that we advise you go to the help center, or you get in touch with us on the emails, or you book a training call or something. Today, I just want to focus on automations, status update emails, and making life a bit more efficient for you all. This is a new series of webinars that's going to be complementing what we already do. So, as I'm sure most of you know, we've got our help section. There's a live chat in the help section. Whenever anyone's free, they're there to answer questions. You've got your emails, where we've got an average response time of 25 minutes or under. Right now, it's an average 8-minute response time in August. We've got our Facebook community group. We've got our weekly live sessions every Wednesday night, which are automatically put into the help section every Wednesday night, Thursday morning for you to watch back as well. So this is just another complement of the support that Client Engager delivers. So as I say, today is all about automations, how we use them, how to use them, how different use cases and different ways I've used them in my firm, different ways I've seen other users use them. And hopefully by the end of today, you're going to be able to go away and implement automations in your own practice, not just from a point of view of knowing how do I turn it on, how do I set up an automation, but also to give you a bit of idea and inspiration on different ways and different use cases that you can have for this. So let's crack on and go straight into Engager. Okay, let's talk automations then. So basically the idea of an automation is that the system will do some of the work for you, depending on how much you trust us or the system. So we've built it so that you can either tell the system that, right, on this time, at this amount of days before a deadline, I want you to generate this email and send it to these people. I don't want anything to do with it. Or you can tell it to generate the email and put it into the automations list for you to check it and then send manually. So that's not fully automated, but you know what? It's more automated than having to type out the email each time. So what we would do is we would go into our settings and create automations, and then each day when I come into my team, I go into the queue, I see which of these are relevant for me, I check them and press send. So that's a semi-automated email. If I'd sent it, if it was fully automated, they would go straight into the success queue here, and I wouldn't have had to do anything. It would have created the email, sent the email, and put it into this queue without any interference from me. My advice with this stuff is normally get everything to go into the queue to start with, and as you become more confident with it, change that setting from queuing it to going out automatically. So how do we create an automation? Well, here we go. So we go into our settings and we go to our services and we scroll across and you'll see global auto reminders. Now, the reason we call these ones global is because this will impact any client with this service. What I'll go through shortly is how you can do this on a client-by-client basis if you would prefer. And what we can do is we can go in and we can click Setup. And then what you'll see is a list of all the automations that have been created for this service that you are running, basically. So when you first come into here, you'll have none yet written here, and you click on setup and press new, and this is the options you'll get. But when you've created one or more, if you press setup, it will give you all the ones that are already running. So what is this screen showing us? Well, this screen showing us that these are enabled because you can disable automations and they still sit there. They don't delete, they just sit there not running. Are they going into the queue? Yes or no? What time does it run? What triggers it? What email template should we be using? Who gets the email? And the conditions as to when it should or shouldn't send. So I'm going to go into a pre-populated one so you can see what it looks like once populated, and then we'll do a few from scratch. So in this case, we're looking at year-end accounts. So the first thing I want to do for year-end accounts is at the end of their financial year, I want to email them saying, congratulations, it's the year end, this is what you need to do, etc. So what we've done here is we've created an auto reminder that runs 9 o'clock in the morning. It runs 9 months before the due date. One of the things to remember here is we always work backwards from the due date. So, and then it's sending an email template which is already created. So before you come and create the automation, you need to create your email template. If anyone's not sure how to do that, you go into services and you go down to communication, message templates, add a new template. Now a question's come in saying, do you provide templates for auto reminders? There's a few templates in there, but we tend to find the wording so personal and so brand specific, it's really not worth our time doing it. So we would rather do a webinar like this where we can inspire you with some ideas to what you could do, and then you word those templates to suit you and your firm. Some people want to use really formal language, other people use less formal, some people like emojis, some people don't. So instead of us trying to assume what you're going to like and how you're going to want to word things, we would suggest going in and doing it yourself. However, one of the things you could do is you could use ChatGPT, the free version, and you could tell it what you're trying to do, and you want to create a templated email for this. It will then create it, and then you can tell it, oh, make it more friendly, or make it more professional, or use more or less emojis. So ChatGPT will help speed this up. And there's actually a session on the Help Center and on our YouTube channel of ways I use ChatGPT in my firm. So that's worth a watch back as well. That's a few months old now, but it's a really, really insightful video, and everything in it's still completely relevant. Whether you use ChatGPT, Microsoft Copilot, whatever you're using, the same principles apply. Just you choose your tool, basically. So you come in here, you create a new template. Now, naming your template. I always try and make sure I understand what my templates are. So in my firm, any automatic emails, the name starts with AE, automatic email. Another thing we're going to talk about later is status updates. So if it's an email template for a status update, we use status update. And that way it just allows us to see straight away which emails we're looking at for templates, which makes it a lot easier. So we go back to our services and we're going to go to our annual accounts. So the first one on here is 9 months before the due date. I'm going to select that. Patrick, I'll come back to you on how to store tax amounts due in a moment. So let's work from top to bottom here. This is all fairly common sense stuff, if I'm honest. Enabled. Are we enabling this automatic reminder? Yes or no? If we go no, that's not an issue. You can continue building all of this. It's just not going to work. It will only work when you finally go to yes. Next question. Are we going to put this into the queue for review? That's that automations queue on the top menu there. Now, I would say always put it into the queue until you get confident that you're understanding its behavior, you're understanding that it's working right how you want it to be, and then turn it on to no later on, and all future instances will just automatically send. Then you want to set what time you want this to go out at. Trust me, there's nothing worse than a client complaining to you that you sent an email at 3 o'clock in the morning and it woke them up because they didn't put their phone on Do Not Disturb. So I, for example, always set my emails to go out at 9 o'clock in the morning. Then it says allow running on weekends. The majority of people will say no because they don't want people thinking that they're working weekends. Now, if you say no to this, but the trigger date, which is the date that the email will create and send, sits on the weekend. So, for example, I want an email to go out on the 1st of the month, but the 1st of the month is actually a Saturday. The system will hold off firing that email out and creating the automation until the Monday morning, if you tick no here. So that's how to make sure you don't send emails on weekends when people are off. The system doesn't understand what a bank holiday is because in the UK we have so many different ones. So England, Scotland, Wales and Ireland have all got different bank holidays. Some follow the UK one, some don't. So we've just decided actually we'll just rule out weekends. So what do you want to do? So I want to send an email from template. This is the template. And if I want to see what this email is going to look like, I can press preview just to make sure it's the right email that I want to send. Then I can decide, am I sending it to all contacts for this client, or the client that we're sending it to, or just the primary contact? Now, when we go into the edit our email reminders at a client by client level, you can do so and select which contacts exactly you do and don't involve. But at the global level, it's either all or just the primary one. And then what outbox are we going to use? So should we use the Gmail shared? Should we use the Engager.app mail system, the SMTP system, or the Microsoft system? Now, if you've linked Gmail, then it will just give you the Gmail option. It won't give you the Microsoft option. If you've linked Microsoft, it will just give you Microsoft and not Gmail. I would always suggest using a Microsoft or Gmail account because it's more likely to be successful and not go into the client's junk box. So in this case, we're using our Gmail shared outbox. When do you want to do this? So I want to do this 9 months before the statutory deadline. So we try and make everything read like it's a sentence. So you know when you're at school, it's like fill in the gaps in the sentence. That's basically what we're asking you to do here, of send email from template and then you choose the template. When do you want to do it? No years, 9 months, no days before the statutory deadline or the next due date. So if I put in here that the statutory deadline is the 31st of the 3rd, 2025, I've told it 9 months. The first automation will happen on the 30th of June 2024. So this isn't telling it exact which deadline to use. This is just me testing to see if that makes sense to me. Now, do I want it to send on the last day of the financial year, or do I want to send it on the first day of the next financial year? Maybe I want to send it on the first day. So I'm going to drop that down to that, and I'm going to go to that. And that moves it to the 1st of July. So now I know my email template wording is going to make more sense, because I've said, congratulations, it's the start of a new financial year. In my email, it would make sense to send it on the first day of your financial year. Whereas if I'd said, today's your last day, then actually I want to change that to 9 and 0 because I want it to send on the last day of the month of the financial year. So then I have an option. Is this email going once, or is it going to be repeated? So in this case, I've chosen very specific wording. I've said, congratulations, it's the end of your financial year, or congratulations, it's the start of your financial year. It wouldn't make sense for that to resend every single month or week or whatever it's going to be. So in this case, I'm not going to set it to reoccurring. I'll show you a reoccurring one in a moment. And then, under which conditions do you want this email to send? So I'm going to say, I want this email to send when records received date is not set. But I might also say, actually, when it's in a certain job status, and you can choose whether the job status is or is not. So if I tick is, and I tick records request, awaiting records, part records received, this system will send the email if any of these statuses are selected. If I've moved my job onto records received, it knows not to send it. So it's very logical in the way we do it, basically. So then I press save. And then once that email automation runs on the right date, it'll go into our automation box at the top. Now, great, I've told the client that the year end is completed. The chances of the client remembering and actioning it there and then and giving me the records, I think we can all agree, is pretty slim. So I'm going to have to remind the client. So what I've done here is I've then set up a new reminder. So I've said that this one's going to run 8 months before the deadline. And then I've told it I want it to repeat every single month until 1 month before the deadline. Because what I want to happen is at the start of every month is I want this email to go out. But then what I've said is you don't need to send it out if I've marked it as any of these statuses: records received, in progress, help needed, sent to client, ready to file, query sent. Because that's telling the system, I've already got this stuff. I don't need you to send this automated email because that'll be harassing a client for information they've already given me. That's just irritating. So I can then press save there. Oh, I've not chosen a template. There we go. So I've done that. Now, it's 1 month until the deadline. We've still not got the records received. I'm going to maybe send another email 7 days before the deadline that chases them every day. So I've created one here, run 7 days before due, and I'm going to select it to run literally every single day until they've sent me the information. And I can set my job statuses again to make sure that it is it's one of those, and there we go. So that's how we do automated reminders. I'll go into your questions and stuff in a moment, but I just want to show you quickly where you edit a auto reminder for a client by client basis. So if we go into our clients, this one, if we go down to service auto reminders, here we can see all the services this client's got turned on, any global reminders that are set and turned on. So for example, they are subject to the global reminder for the self-assessment and the global reminder for payroll. And then we can either disable that for the client, or we can enable client-specific reminders where maybe we've got a different template or a different frequency of sending emails, or we want that email and that frequency, but we want it to go to a specific person that's not the primary contact. So what we can do here is click on edit. It's showing you the free global reminders. So I can enable these if I wanted to the primary contact. Maybe I don't want that one to send, so I'll disable that. Maybe I don't want that one to send, I can disable that. But then I can create a client-specific auto reminder. And what I'll do is I'll just show you this one that's already created. Because the slight difference here is you've got this new option, selected contacts. And here I can choose someone from the list of contacts that I want to send this to, who doesn't have to be the primary contact. It doesn't have to be everybody like we do with the global reminders. It can just be a specific contact for this specific client. So you can basically create your automations for every single client that has annual accounts or whatever it is to get sent, or you can create it for each client specifying which person you want to, or you can turn it on for everyone and go into certain clients and turn it off. So it's completely flexible of how you do this to make it work for you and your firm. Hopefully that all makes sense as the basics of automated reminders. So what I'm going to go do now is I'll go through all the questions and comments, and I'll come back to some more scenarios and status updates from there. So let me close that down. Right. Is there a way to review all automations that you set up on one screen? So you review the automations per service in the settings. So you go to settings, you go to the service, and you can review any of the service automations here. So these are all the ones for year-end accounts. This is the one for CT600, etc. So we group them and view them in that, because that makes sense in my mind, that I want to see what the automations are for my annual accounts. I don't want to be confused by seeing payroll automations and stuff in the same list. So you do that there, or if you want to look at it on a client level, you go back to the client, go in there, and you can go to the client's service auto reminders, and you can see which ones are global, which ones are local, client specific, and go from there as well. Hopefully that helps, Linda. Right. So Patrick, I'll come back to your bit when we do an example about taxes. So Nicola, because obviously months have different amount of days, like the odd February that's got 29 days, it will be a roundabout. So we obviously work in months and days, or years. Now you could put in there a certain amount of days instead of whole months, but what we would suggest is if you do 9 months, the system doesn't look at how many days are in those months, it just looks at how many months there are. So if I want to send something out 9 months before a deadline, then I'll just go, I'll count how many days that is and put that in there, because that may change year on year because of the leap years. I'll just go 9 months, and it then looks at, right, 9 months back from here is here. Hopefully that makes sense. It's not possible to add attachments to automated emails because that means we have to store them somewhere, and then the system needs to know where to pull them from. It gets extremely complex with the coding. When you're in the queue, you can view an email, you can edit the email, but you cannot attach anything to it. But just because you've used a template doesn't mean you can't edit the content still. You just can't attach anything to automated emails. Yes, this call is being recorded, I believe. It was at the start. We had some technical issues, so it should still be recorded, Susanna. Otherwise, I'm going to have to do it again. Do all these emails work even though you've not invited the client? Yes, because the emails are just sending out, all the automations is generating an email, which has got content in it, and sending it via an email. Your clients don't need to be invited, they don't need to be in the client portal because it goes to their email address. It's just auto-populating the contents of an email for you. Can you use automated emails to invite people to upload documents into the portal? You can, but you can't invite them to upload documents into a specific folder because the system wouldn't know where you're generating that link from. But you could invite them saying, please can you upload all relevant information to the client portal using the client upload folder, and then put a link to the client portal in there, and then hope they follow the instructions. But yeah, so you could do that, James, hopefully. That makes sense. Wonderful. Right. Okay, so let's come up with some other examples where we are doing automated emails, but they are not for traditional services, for example. So let's go with let's go with birthdays, for example. So you want to send an email to your primary contact each time they have a contact each time they have a birthday. What you'd need to do is go to settings, go to services, create a new service, and I'd mark it as an internal birthday email. Save that, and then what I would then do is I would create my automations for my birthday emails, and I'd go into each client, turn the service on, and I'd set the deadline as their birthday. But what I would normally do, so if I just call that test for now. So what I would do there is, if I search for birthday email, I've actually got a few examples of this, but I would go in here, I'd create my, I'd have my template already created, so let's pretend that says birthday. And what I would do is I would just set it. Now, you've got a choice. You can either set this for the day of their birthday, but I'm sat there thinking, who's working on their birthday? Most people probably try and take it off. So what I would do is I'd word my email saying, happy birthday for tomorrow. So not only are we thinking about you, we're proactively thinking about you. I'm going to send it one day before the birthday, and I'm going to set the deadline of the service as their birthday. Okay. If you want to send it the day of their birthday, you need to set the deadline as the day after their birthday, because the system can't handle zeros. It can only handle one day before or more. So if my birthday is on the, say my birthday is on the 12th of October, of August. This email is going to send on the 11th. Well, if I wanted to send on their birthday date, I need to send it. I need to set the deadline as the 13th, so it sends on the 12th, which is my birthday. It's not my birthday, but as an example. Hopefully that makes sense. So create a service called birthday email, mark it as an internal service, turn it on for all your contacts, set their deadline date as their birthday or the day, set it as their birthday if you want the email to go the day before their birthday, and word that email appropriately saying, we just wanted to wish you the very best for tomorrow. Or set it the deadline for the day after their birthday and word the email of, wanted to wish you the very best for today as it's your birthday. Hopefully that makes sense. Guys, I can see people raising their hands. If you've got questions, I can't come to you on your cameras, so please put them in the comments or ideally the Q&A box. So yeah, brilliant. Okay. So Sarah, is there a way for a stage within a job named send email to client to request records to be automatically ticked off after the automated email is sent out? No. So when the emails go out automatically, that is all they do. There's no logic behind it of going, right, mark that job as done. So if you're not involved in sending the email, I wouldn't make it a stage in my job. I just know I've set that for the system and it gets on with it. If it's an email that I want to send and edit potentially, then I would make it a stage, but I wouldn't use an automated email. I use a status update email, and I'll show you those next. So if we go to our deadlines board, let's see if I can get a good example. Let's go with year-end accounts, see if these have got any. Cool. So when I go to my deadlines board and I go to my service and bring it up, you'll notice some of my stages have what we call status update emails. What that means is on completion of this phase, the system will remind you you should send an email. It will tell you what template you should be using, and you can say yes whether you want to send it or no. And if it says yes, you then get a chance to edit it before you press send. So for example, I'm going to complete this phase, which has got an email icon next to it because it's got a status email tied in. If I press complete phase, do I want to send this email? It's saying you should do, it's up to you. Yes. But maybe I've just been on the phone to that client and that's when I might say no. So it populates all the information for this client and it gives me the template that I've suggested I might want to use. I can then add to this if I wanted to. At this point, on status update emails, I could add an attachment here and then I can press send. And that email then goes out. So the concept of status updates is the idea of Amazon, basically. So last night I placed an order for some ear tips for my AirPod Maxes because one of my ear tips is broken. I then got an email from Amazon saying, we've got your order. I then got an email from them this morning confirming that it's going to be delivered today. I got an email from them confirming that it's been dispatched. I've just had an email come in saying it's within 2 hours of being delivered. And then I'll get an email from them saying it's been delivered. So we wanted to take that concept to improve your constant communication and proactiveness with your clients. So for example, in my firm, we've got our send record collection request. Well, if I go back and click on that, instead of me automating that email, maybe it's one of those emails where I need to put some context into it. So I'm going to use a template, but I want to put a lot more text into it. So I can do that here. Blah, blah. And then I can press send and that will go out. But sometimes, so for example, in my phone, once we've prepared some accounts and they're going to go for approval and review by our head of accounts, I then may want to send the email to the client to update them. So for example, I would click on complete here, and this template might say, dear so-and-so, we've now completed preparing your accounts. They're being reviewed by our head of accounts. This normally takes 7 to 10 working days. After this, the following things will happen. So I've updated my client without them chasing me for an update. I've told them what's happening at the moment and what's happening next, and I've told them when to expect the next communication from us. So we've been proactive. So that is the ideal scenario for a status update. Another good scenario for a status update is for VAT payables. So in my firm, we've got a template called VAT, and when we file a VAT return for a client, we then send them an email where it says, "Dear sir," or "Madam," or "Hello," whatever it says. It then says, "Please remember you need to pay," and then it's got a blank, well, it hasn't, it's got a bold pound mark, and my team type in there how much to pay of VAT by the 7th of, and then there's a blank ready for us to put which month they need to pay it in. Now, the reason we've done it that way is because we only ever send them that number once, that VAT number once of how much to pay. And then under that, we've got all the details of here's how you pay it by bank if you're doing it by bank, and here's your VAT number for your reference. So I just type it into an email template like this. I don't have a custom field for the VAT amount because by the time I've typed it in there and I don't ever use that number again, the next time I go to that custom field is to type in the next VAT amount. I may as well type it into the email. So it's more efficient to do it this way. So that's a good way of using status updates. And another good one that I've found is send a status update once you've filed. So if I go complete, I'm not going to send that one. Not going to send that one. Oh yes, I do want to go past that. So in my firm, we were really good at filing people's accounts once they've e-signed, but then we forgot to tell the client that we'd filed the accounts. So whenever we've got a filed option now, and we press complete, it reminds us we need to send that email template saying we've filed that set of accounts, we've filed that VAT return, we've filed that tax return. And it just reassures the client that we've actually done it. Like the amount of emails we used to get in my firm saying, "Did you file that tax return for me?" It's like, well, yeah, of course we did. We did it when you e-signed it. But actually, we never told you we did that, did we? So we now tell them immediately, and they love it. It saves so much backwards and forwards for us. So that's status update emails. Status update emails, again, is a case of creating templates in the settings, just like you would for an automated email. And with status update emails and automated emails, you can use placeholders in the template, which will pull in the right client information for the right email at the right time. So it's personalized as an email, ready to go out without you having to do anything. Hopefully that makes sense. Can you show how to insert placeholders into an email? Yeah, so go to settings. If I'm just doing this in my templates, go to message templates. And let's say I am going to update one of these templates. Let's go with bookkeeping requests, where it says insert placeholders to body template, body email. So I'll put my cursor roughly where I want my placeholder, click on here, and then I've got all of these different placeholders. I can search for it. So maybe I want a name of the client. Double click on that and it puts it in there. Maybe I'm going to sign it off from the manager instead of the current user. Click on here. There we go, manager. Now with automated emails, if you use the current user placeholder, it will not work because the system's generating the email behind the scenes. So technically there's no one logged in, which means technically there's no current user creating that email. It's the system. So if you're wanting to put a person's name in here, you need to either put that in the template or use a fixed point of in the system. So for example, manager, or in my firm, a lot of our automated emails just get signed off, the on point. On-point accounting team, and that's it, it's done, it's easy. So if you want names specific, you either type them into the template or you put the manager placeholder in there. don't use current user on automated emails. You can use them on status updates because someone is manually reviewing and pressing send of that at the time of generating the email. Or just put in the On Point accounting team or your team's name. So that way they know it's coming from the team. They kind of get it automated. It's fine. Hopefully that helps, Eloise. Right. So that's automations and that's status updates. One of the questions we get asked a lot is how do we create ones for tax reminders for like self-assessments? So what we would do is, first of all, we have our custom fields. So first of all, we need to capture the data we need to go into this email, okay? So we need somewhere to put the amount of tax that's due on what dates. So what you need to do is go in your client and let's go to a person's record. And basically you need somewhere to save, this is how much tax you owe on this date. So here I've got SA 100 tax due January. Well, I've got lots of different ones here because we've been testing and playing with them. But basically you need a custom field that's going to store that amount. Personally, I would encourage you to make this custom field a text field, not a number field. Because if it's a number field, I can't put in different signs, different currencies, and it's save. And if there's 0.60, the system will get rid of that O when it does the auto placement because it just goes to the only decimal that's been used. So I would say use a text field for this, and that way you will be absolutely fine, and you can put in your currency, you can put in the decimal places and the pennies, absolutely fine. And then, so to get that box there, what I've done is I've gone to settings, custom fields. I've decided I want to add my custom fields to the additional info part of the general under general info. And all I've done is July 2024 tax bill amount, and I want it to go into there, and I'm going to oh no, sorry, I was adding a new section there, ignore that. So down here I want it to go under all this list here, so I'm going to click add new field, July 2024 tax amount. Do we want to show this field in client summary? Yeah, why not? Do we want to include this in pricing factors and less of engagement? No, this has got nothing to do with the pricing factors in this case, so I'm going to leave it there. As I say, I suggest making this single line text rather than anything else. And then what I do is I put in the currency mark just there, just because it helps my team. It saves them having to type it every single time. So it means I know they've got it there to start with. So press save. Then what I'll do is I'll create my template. So I'm going to just edit a self-assessment template already created. So this is a self-assessment quote. Let's come out of there. There we go, tax reminder. So January tax payment reminder. Right, let's do this nicely. Hello, name of the client. Please remember you need to pay. Then I'm going to go for January. And I've got all my different placeholders for January. If I typed in July, it would come up with the July one I've just created. By the 31st of July, I'll just change this to July so it all makes sense. Now what I normally put in here is if you haven't already made this payment. Because this way, if I send this out, it means the client won't get angry at me for going, you told me to pay this when I'd already paid it. It's like, well, yes, but you're an adult. You need to check what you've already done. So I've said, if you haven't made this payment already. So that covers my back for that. And then we'll save that. Now, you could try and automate this, but there's too many opportunities for it not to work. So for example, if you've already completed this year's tax return job, the automation won't run. It'll be looking at next year's tax return job, so the dates won't work. So what normally I do for that is I normally go to my clients. I normally go to filter, enabled services, SA100. I've now got 107 clients. I'd select them all and then do a bulk message. And I'd choose the January template or July template. There we go. And then I can press send. Save and send. If I want to view it for any particular person, I can see it there. Let's see if I can find one. There we go. And do it that way. So Louise, you've just asked if you need to amend the template for each tax year. Not if you do it the way I do it in my firm, but if you are specific about year's taxes, then yes. So basically what I've done in my firm is I've got 3 brackets, because the issue is if you do a July and January one, and then so July 24's payment, January 25's payment, but before July 24 you then do the tax return for 23-24, it leaves you with extra another field that you need to populate. So I've got 4 tax return fields. I've got January 24, July 24, January 25, July 25, because we've got that many different options there now. But then what I do is each year I just go in and I change my custom fields names from 24 to 25, 25 to 26, etc. And that means the custom fields still work, the email templates still work, but I updated my fields so that I can update the amounts. So yeah, there's a few moving parts in that one, but it does make life much easier. And all I do in my firm is I've just got a task to remind myself or Jade, my operations manager, send out bulk tax reminders. What you could also do is you could then put on here a column for the July tax return, because every custom field you create creates a new column. And I could go and put these in order, and if I had any numbers in these, I could order it so all the numbered ones are at the top, and instead of selecting all, I'll just go and select the ones that I've got values in and press send that way, so that if the clients haven't got anything to pay, I don't have to remind them. But sometimes what I do as well is I would select all the ones that I've got 0 to pay and just send them a little email saying, hi, this is just a reminder that there is a July payment due to HMRC normally at this point. You don't have anything to pay, because it will save you a lot of phone calls and emails saying, oh, did I need to make any payments, or should I be paying someone? I'm panicking. My friends had to pay HMRC. Why not me? So it just helps you to get on top of that way. Cool. We are rapidly running out of time, and I'm conscious this Zoom room is going to be used again at 12 o'clock. So I just want to quickly go through and see if there's anything else in the comments. If there's any questions, guys, now's the time to stick them in. That's been answered. When have you found the best time to send out tax reminders, and would you send it once or a few times? Completely up to you and your clients. You know your clients better than me, Olivia. For my clients, we send it out at the start of January, start of July, and a week, like the 23rd, 24th of January, 23rd, 24th of July, and that's fine for my clients. But again, you know your clients better than I do. You decide when you're going to do it. I've dealt with that one. That's fine. Eloise, how did you enter the amount in there? So the amounts will pre-fill using the placeholder, and all I've done is I've gone into my client's general info and I've entered the value of the tax into the right fields. So tax return bit here, I'll just put 2569p, save, and that will then pull through into the placeholder when I generate that email. Hopefully that makes sense, Eloise. Wonderful. Okay, any other questions on automation, status updates, etc.? Or does that all make sense? There are videos confirming all of this in the Help Center, as always. So you can watch the videos back even if this recording's not worked. I don't know if it's recording properly because of the technical glitch I had earlier. But videos for this are all available in the Help section. Can you please show the Help Center? Yeah, Eloise, all you do, click on your name at the top, get help. And oh, that's my login. Ignore that. I can't show the Help Center because it takes me into the back end. But literally, all you do, click on your name, click on Get Help, or type in help.engager.app, and it will take you to the Help Center. And if you bear with me, I'll just jump into the Help Center from my back end. And then this is the Help Center. So you can search things like automation. There we go, how to use automations menu, automation spotlight. This is where this recording will go. I'll go to automation, how to use automations menu, how to effectively set up and customize your automations and stuff. So loads are there. You can then also go to the how-to guides and see all the different sections. So there should be a whole section on automations here. You can also ask questions here, and the system will try and serve the right articles for you, and then it will pass you on to us if we're available. So yeah, dead simple to get to the help guide. Wherever you are in Engager, click your name and click Get Help. Hopefully that helps. That one I've done. Brilliant. Okay. So, any last minute questions, folks? Otherwise, I'll leave you all to go and have your lunch. And we'll wrap it up. Wonderful. Everyone's saying thank you. Lovely. Well, absolutely fantastic to see so many of you here. As always, Help Centre's there. Contact@Engager.app is covered every day, Monday to Friday. Ask questions in the Facebook group because other users will answer them for you, and I cover it 7 days a week, silly hours to silly hours. You've got the Help Centre, it's full of searchable articles. There's the weekly live every Wednesday at 7:30. There's links to that in the Help Centre. There's links to it in the Facebook page. There's links to it on emails we send out. Absolutely loads and loads of information and support is out there. Please use it. So yeah, right, we will bring that to a close then. Thank you very much to everyone for joining us on this first feature spotlight. Apologies for the technical fault, but hopefully that's recorded properly, and we will be coming back to you next week, probably with a different topic for a feature as well. So keep an eye out for the updates on the social media and the Facebook group and stuff, and the emails. We will let you know what we're going to cover in the coming weeks very, very soon. And we've also got some guests coming up. So we've got Jax from Zama coming in to do a feature spotlight on Zama and our integration with that and the benefits of Zama, and then the benefits of that linking into Client Engager. We've got Armalytics coming up in September, as well as Free Agent. So yeah, if there's any other people you want us to bring on, let us know, and we will happily bring them in for you. Ian says spotlight on using forms would be really helpful. Absolutely, Ian. I will put that on my list for you, and we will go from there. Wonderful. Thank you very much, everybody. Enjoy your weekends when those weekends come, and we will talk to you all very, very soon. Bye-bye.